I think the Seahawks are a tremendous organization. Having been part of them was fantastic, and I'm sure there's still going to be cooperation between the two organizations because it was always a good situation. But for us right now, this is also a positive growth situation, establishing ourselves. I think we've got our clientele, our base as well, and hopefully that will get reflected by what we see in the Seattle Times and Tacoma newspaper.
Have you seen the new office space?
I haven't been there yet. I was probably going to try and go by tomorrow and see it. The day that everybody went on the Tuesday, I had stayed in L.A., so I wasn't there for that.
But the cooperation, for example, if you felt you needed an indoor facility, you assume you could still get into VMAC, that kind of thing?
We assume we could, still work something out, still talk to them, yeah.
You had mentioned Papa is having a particularly good game this weekend, maybe his best as a Sounder. Of course, he had the memorable error in Toronto, didn't play the next two. Were those three things related, do you think, in any case? Was he sat for a couple of days because of the error? And do you think the sitting in any way benefited him?
I think with Marco, it's a situation when he came to us, having had a stint in Holland that wasn't as successful as he wanted it to be. I think for him was getting back into the rhythm of playing and playing all the time and coming in after we had sort of started preseason, catching up a lot on fitness and all of that, was something that he had to get over that hurdle. And, for me, it was a situation that we have a number of players who can play in those spots, and we decided, after that game to change it a little bit. Also for Marco, gave him maybe a little bit of time to reflect, but I think he reacted really well, came off the bench, played really well, and as a result put himself back on the field.
Speaking of that competition, I mean, this is similar to the other situations that you've had. I mean, every year we seem to talk to you about you having more starters than you have spots, but it does, I don't know, from the outside at least, it seems like this is maybe to a higher degree.
Well, ideally, you always want to have more starters than you have spots, and for us, it's a unique situation because there's a chance of us on May 14th losing 1, 2, 3 players, and if you're losing 3 players, that's three starters ostensibly, and you got to be able to replace them. So you need to have more than just 11 starters. So I'm happy with the depth of our team, and right now it's just a matter of keeping everybody sharp and everybody in the rhythm.
Is there any chance that Obafemi can still get into the Nigerian national team, or is that boat kind of sailed?
That's a question for Stephen Keshi as coach. I mean, Oba and me talked about it the other day, and there really hasn't been any contact. And I'm sure their coach has his ideas. I know they've got their camp's going to come up in Europe, and then they're going to move to Miami. But as of yet, there's been no talk of Oba.
What was the thinking on getting Estrada back?
The whole thing all along the lines was to get him some games, get him some rhythm of play by going down to Atlanta, and then to bring him back again and see where he's at. And, so for us, Jimmy Ockford's situation was a different situation when we loaned him out, whereas for the whole season, and allowed us to, make sure that we signed another player as well. But in David's case or anybody else that we loan out, it's more a situation that we're trying to get them, someplace for 2, 3, 4 weeks where they get 3, 4 games and then come back to us.
What was your thought on how he played with Atlanta?
I thought he did all right. Obviously the last game he didn't start, but that was more because the Atlanta coach, decided that, he's not going to be here the next week. Let me start looking at this guy, in this position. So for him it was good because he got an opportunity to play, and the games are more competitive in nature than the reserve games are.
Did you have any contact with Winalda over that loan?
Chris has. Chris spoke to him a couple of times. Tough to get a hold of him, between Champions League matches and Atlanta Silverback games and taking care of his family and flying.
Did Brad get through Sunday okay?
Yeah, he got through okay. He got through okay on the game on Saturday and then played 45 minutes at right back on Sunday, so those were helpful to him. So and through training today, so it'll be a good week for him, and expect to see him this weekend.
Was the decision to play him at right back totally a Sounders decision, or was that partially to help out Jurgen, maybe see him some minutes there?
It was it worked out well for both. Let me put it that way. We are obviously with Damian Lowe being injured right now, so we're short one defender in the back as it is. So Azira's been dropping back there and playing back there in games. So this time it was a chance for Brad to play there. We've had to play Kovar at left back, with Leo being out as well. So, different people have to jump in there. So it was really a situation of our need. And, we said, hey, this works out well for him too.
How's Leo doing?
Leo's doing good and better today. He ran today, so we'll see how he is by the end of the week, or by Thursday should be in through warm-ups, and then we'll see.